which kicks off with this nice snare drum, which builds a snare. Bollocks. The idea of one, and we're hoping it's not that one.
It's good to keep shuffling around in there, dude.
Okay, I got it. Oh, it's very short. This. Ooh.
Oh,
interesting. See,
I'm looking forward to this,
People
dude.
might not think this is a classic, but we're not going to see literal classics. I'm looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to it. Hey dudes and dudettes, what is going on? I'm Jonny Middleton, now joined once again by my awesome hard rocking amigo,
Travis Ward.
and welcome to episode 6 of our Classic Song and Crypt album review series on YouTube. And today's album, everyone's sort of like a return to sort of like a more conventional style we've looked at so far in these reviews, would you say, Master? It's sort of like a return to the more, sort of music that we have become accustomed to by our
familiar with. Indeed, especially from our last series, you could say it's more familiar because even
this
though
is a much more modern affairs,
people might not say this is a classic, but this is our own twist on the series because the series spans from the early 60s to the very late 90s.
We have a very broad spectrum of years that we're covering in this series.
Yeah, because there are definite classic albums on this series, but we thought we'd put in some albums that we think deserve a mention because of how important they are to us.
I guess that could be the same with Hunky Dory as well, because you were saying how we could have featured the album after that one, Ziggy Stardust,
yes,
and I guess we could have featured the album after this one, seeing as the album after this one was the band's biggest selling album in the US.
I guess, but this is the second biggest album.
So we thought we'd be a bit different, alternate it, because I'm looking at a ratings to this album has actually pretty acclaimed ratings from
very favourable
critics and the like, and
I think from the time it was released.
It was 95.
Yeah, it suits the genre.
It's certainly not like David Bowie, like it took a while to sort of like get that acclaim going, I suppose.
Well, we guess because this person had a project before, or I guess not a project, he joined something.
And I believe we alluded to this album at the end of one of our previous videos, but it's like just in like the end of our time range for that period, which was 89 to 95, I believe, is alternative week, if it was.
Yeah, so this just kicks off.
The album that we're covering everyone today is an album that's like more conventional, like a lot of people may know about this album.
They'll know the band, but they might not know the album. They might know like one or two songs from it.
It's much more of a low-key release, but obviously it's a claim and role it's played in the development band, obviously key, and it's the Foo Fighters, everyone, for change. It's their debut jam, which is posthumously titled The Foo Fighters.
Released in 1995 on Capitol Records.
Well, it was like initially like Roswell Records, which is like Dave Grohl's home label. Because I think once he left Nirvana, it didn't really have it wasn't on like a major label anymore because the band had split. So it's basically, it was named after like the 1947 Roswell UFO incident which occurred in New Jersey. Because New Mexico, the band Foo Fighters, everyone actually got their name from UFOs, from which was American aircraft pilots.
World War II.
I think it was like Allied. I think it was like an alliance with World War II. Like Allied aircraft pilots were called various
which led to Foo Fighters.
Aerial phenomena being called
Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters. It's called a Foo Fighter. As you alluded to, how not many people may know about this album. I actually didn't know this album existed. I was calling the shit. Was that David?
This was quite a while though.
I didn't realise the gun. I didn't recognise
the ray gun.
The album's existence.
Oh, the album artwork's based off a ray gun.
Buck Rogers,
or a disintegrator gun.
I mean, they call it a feeder.
Because of a track. But Buck Rogers was, I guess, I don't know, it's not superhero, but sci-fi orientated comic book from the late 20s.
Did Buck Rogers ever feature like a film or anything, Jonas? So it's primarily like a comic-esque character?
I don't know much about it, but I know it was comic-esque and very big in, 30s, 40s.
I mean, the thought of the 2000s. It was recorded because Dave Grohl, and once they the end of the label, because this album was like a therapy for him following the death of Kurt Cobain. It was like a massive depression.
It was more just a bit of fun.
Poor guy.
Yeah, because after that he didn't want to play drums anymore. He played drums for 10 years, and he felt more comfortable as well dancing on stage with a guitar.
He wants to do something like no one expected.
There was bands
like
like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers asking him to play drums for him. But apparently he played like a live gig with them. But he also played.
I'm sure he played on an album as well. Did the member of the album? That member related to Mike Watt, which the name Wattershed is after just track 11 on this release.
Was it the Beatnik band or whatever it was called?
The Beatles one?
No, hold on.
Beatnik band. I don't know.
Hold on.
I know nothing about this dude.
Oh, the Backbeat Band. In 1994, he played at the MTV Movie Awards.
It was based on the Beatles documentary called Backbeat, which is like a look at their time on tour in Germany. And,
was it a film Beatles? Is that what Backbeat was?
Yes, dude.
Oh, right. But in that band...
featured Henry Rollins and...
Henry Rollins from Black Flag, Mike Mills from R.E.M. and also members from Sonic Youth.
Which I think is a very cool sort of lineup.
Dave played drums.
It's a good like crossover genres. Yeah, you get like people from like more punk backgrounds like rock. Nirvana. Mm. But it's not like it's not a idea for some punk.
To put Black Flag and R.E.M. together.
Oh, R.E.M.
Excellent.
Maybe that really work. Mm. And because like this is where like although this album was called solely by Dave Grohl, who like got into the studio and booked 7 Days with Robert Lang in October '94. Basically, like, there's a guy called Greg Billy who plays on track 10 called Ecstatic, and he was basically part of the Backbeat Band, which Dave Grohl's part was like the Beatles soundtrack.
Yeah, and apparently...
They played 1995 to the Music Awards this year. Already alluded to.
For this album, Dave Grohl went to the studio to record 15 tracks, 9 of which I believe were already recorded during or before his time in Nirvana.
It started writing in like 1990. Like you get like an acoustic guitar on tour, and like basically write songs, and it's sort of hide some of his material away from Kurt Cobain. So Dave Grohl also enjoyed Kurt Cobain's lyrical writing, but it did show Kurt Cobain 2 songs.
Yeah, but after
which will feature on this album.
But after this. During the time of 1994 to 95, he recorded, well not wrote This Is a Call, I'll Stick Around, Ecstatic, and Watershed.
That's like 4 songs out of the 9.
Yeah, and then...
I'm trying to think what the song was like. There's only 12 tracks.
Yeah, but there's also the B-sides, such as
Winnebago.
Gas Chamber. Yeah.
So Winnebago, which, because like, before, like, Dave Grohl had like, actually experimented with, like, so like recording now by himself. Before I'd actually recorded the Pocket Watch demo cassette by... He'd actually used a synonym called Late, because he thought it'd be cool to, like, turn up in the record company and say, "Hey everyone, sorry we're late," or something along those lines. Anyway, it was basically like to hide his identity, I suppose.
And this, yeah, and
I think Bob Dylan did it before, like some like label, from some Black Sabbath documentary.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember watching it once too.
And this album was the first time David ever recorded with a 24 track. Before, and with these demos and stuff, he'd recorded it on an 8 track.
I believe he'd like take like the demos, like his house, and like sort of. Took it to the studio.
Which one of those 9 songs he already had recorded on an 8 track.
And what do you say that's like results in an increase in quality in the whole sound of the songs? Because I know we said at the end of the last video, like the production is a bit naff.
That's what you think when you first hear it, but the more you listen to it, it's not actually that bad.
We were saying how we couldn't really notice like much difference, and although you disagree with us, but I feel that at times Dave Grohl's vocals do have very much a typical Foo Fighters sound.
Oh,
especially songs like
some more than others.
Is it Ecstatic or something? We'll get into this.
I just think he was still finding his voice and he was just getting used to it all at first.
Because it's a bit of a change when you go from being the drummer of a successful project to the lead singer and guitar player.
Well, Dave played...
Well, basically recorded all the instruments
Dave was
himself.
a guitarist first and learned drums in his band before Nirvana called Scream.
Which was the band that he played in before he joined Nirvana and plays Chad Channing. Because obviously Nirvana had a huge array of drummers in there.
He was the 7th drummer.
I believe Jason Everman also featured in that. And that's it.
And with this band, we've got first it's Dave Grohl, but then he got his band when he signed to Capitol, which is
from Rothwell.
Yeah, Pat
basically
Smear,
jumped from an indie to a major label.
Pat Smear, well known in the later half of Nirvana as the touring guitarist.
And also playing a punk band against us called Germs. I finally found out the name of that. I was so relieved.
Nate Mendel, who's been in the band ever since. And Pat Smear's back in. He's been in the band. Well, he's been doing stuff with the band since 2005 after leaving in '99, 2000.
I guess Pat Smear and Dave Grohl always have that sort of like everlasting connection.
And then
both featuring Nirvana and Foo Fighters.
And then we've got on drums William Goldsmith, who was in the band. Oh crap, I can't remember.
Sunny D Real Estate, dude.
Yeah,
actually that's just Sunny D Real Estate.
Sunnyside Real Estate.
Sunny Side Up. Sunny D Real Estate.
And he stayed with a band.
It's not like an emo punk band, would it? Yeah. I've seen Haley Williams and Paramore endorsing their stuff.
Oh, okay.
Paramore and Sunny D Real Estate probably sound very similar sonically.
And he stayed until The Colour and the Shape sort of thing, recorded some songs and then...
But Dave Grohl sort of like re-recorded his parts like Brian Taylor Hawkins who recorded like drums like the bonus tracks of Colour and the Shape. But there's actually like 12 songs on this album, everyone, as aforementioned, and this is like the Barrett Jones, like there's more Nirvana references in here too, because like Barrett Jones, the producer, like it actually like works with like Nirvana on albums, just never mind the Lithium single and In Utero being the producer, and she also being involved in the mix of In Utero too.
I say that this album is a bridge between the grunge of the late 80s, early 90s, and the alternative rock that was to come. So you've got, I guess, bands like Nirvana, and Soundgarden contrasting into bands such as Bush, I guess.
I know that Bush like actually recorded like Bush. Man, there's going to be so many dirty connotations associated with that one. But anyway, I know like Bush, like they recorded at Robert Lang Studios, so it's how much recorded do, because like another Nirvana reference, Robert Lang Studios in Seattle is actually where like the band recorded their like final recording session prior to Kurt Cobain's death.
So like songs such as You Know You're Right.
Oh, sorry, You Know You're Right, which appeared on
also the track Exhausted.
Greatest collection.
Exhausted was recorded with Chris Novoselic and Dave Grohl, waiting for Kurt Cobain.
Yeah, because as I was saying, like, Chris Novoselic actually asked to join the band, but like Grohl felt being a bit like strange, it's like a personal perspective, like Chris to be involved in the band.
Yeah, it was like trying to break away from Nirvana, really, isn't it?
And he heard like Sunny D Real Estate like close to breakup, because like there being like several incarnations, like close to their first one, they like left a note one of the band shows, and like William Goldsmith rang up, and him and Nate Mendel asked to join the band, and they subsequently did.
Oh, I didn't realise Nate Mendel was in the band.
He was too. He was also in Sunny D Real Estate.
No, that one. Yeah, cool.
Cool, man.
And so the difference to this to Nirvana, I say it's from a lot of the songs are left of the spectrum to Nevermind album, because you've got the elements.
It's like the Bleach side of them.
Oh no, I don't mean like that. I just mean not in like years wise. I mean just left of sound. Like you've got those heavy with a lot of stuff is softer.
That's like your political stuff, like left of the spectrum.
Like softer in comparison to Nevermind, but there's like a lot of remnants in the guitar work.
You get a nice visual, like soft and more heavy songs, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Grohl's vocals say like they're all sort of developed, but you get instances where like it experiments. Like these songs like aren't really like as diverse songs, but like more simple, straightforward, feel more accessible in nature.
Mm-hmm. And this album was released in July
of 1995. It became popular when Eddie Vedder played on his self-pollution Pearl Jam radio broadcast. Not like a 4.5 hour radio.
Exhaust on January 8th, 1995, I believe.
It's also tried to the interest of like Capitol Records, and they sort of subsequently signed the band, and thus Dave Grohl got like a full band to like tour them and the material around.
And because of that, they wanted him into the album booklet. They wanted to have a picture with the band.
So this like on the Capitol Records.
Mm.
Although I think like the Roswell Records, like Dave Grohl's home label, they're just like issued on like cassette tapes or something.
Yeah, because at first Dave's wanting to hide his identity, but then once he's got the band,
it's because like on their first like US tour of the Foo Fighters, the tour with Mike Watts was named Wattershed, Zen-Native from. So Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam, we play like a side project called Hovercraft, and he like tries to disguise himself during performance like wearing a wig, but it soon became apparent it was him, and those fans started turning up.
He's got a very dynamic voice.
Eddie Vedder.
Yeah.
He's a brilliant vocalist, Eddie Vedder.
Oh, this album is platinum. If I haven't already said that.
It went. Yeah, I know it's so
in
well.
1996, I believe, and it came third in the UK album charts, which is quite impressive, and 23rd on the Billboard 200.
That was probably because like with Grohl's like stint in the band,
because people wanted to buy it and listen to it. Yeah.
Notoriety, because. I know like initially, dude, like before Eddie Vedder sort of played the songs on his radio broadcast, like Dave Grohl really tended to put like 100 tapes to him and like do that to his friends like.
Oh, that's what I was going to say, because due to his incognito sort of aspect, he's just showing it to his friends.
I'm glad I could help get your mind back on track. It's just really cool.
Yeah, cool.
Because although this album was like issued on like 2 labels essentially, it was the initial mix of like the Roswell Records was doing like Robert Lang, like they moved to like the shop owned by Tom Rock and Rob Schnaff in Arcata, California. When like the more mixing like the Capitol Records released this album.
And the album artwork was designed by Dave's girlfriend,
Jennifer Youngblood. And he also written Lists of Call on tour whilst on honeymoon.
On his honeymoon in Ireland.
With Jennifer Youngblood,
who was his first wife. And I think she probably designed artwork probably for the This Is a Call one, very similar to it. With the UFOs.
Oh, the UFOs, yeah. That's a huge reference, like the sort of spacey, sci-fi.
Yeah, it reminds me of like like black and white films. Like one of those, it came from within, and there's like signs come across.
I know you messaged me, I texted what they do. It sounds like a horror.
Which single was that? Was that for Exhausted? I think with the creature.
Oh, I thought that was some dude like pulling a funny face. It made me laugh. A bit like the trumpet in Kooks by David Bowie, dude. And this album's like praised because like there were 2 music videos made for this. There's like 6 singles released in total.
Yeah, 6 singles.
Two being promotional.
Yeah, I'll Stick Around was the first music video, and then we have Big Me, which was more of a jokey music video. There was nothing serious about it.
It was more revolved around the Mentos mints, which I actually saw in Asda. So tempted to buy some for this review. That was so cool.
I'll Stick Around. What has it got floating around or something?
It's like white spores or something. It's certainly a reference to the UFOs. Yeah. And you know, this album was praised for its songwriting performances because, like, apparently, like Dave Grohl would like record one part, like Rush would like to record another part, have a cup of coffee. Yeah. The album was recorded very quickly. It was in 5 days, even though it's a week.
Pretty decent.
It shows like his like you were saying, how his ability like a multi-instrumentalist. So yeah, because like most of the songs on this album like written like 20 minutes before. So the lyrics were written like 20 minutes before.
Because he wanted everything to be tight and in sync. He was concentrating on the music, and so he didn't really put much time or effort into writing the lyrics, and so a lot of the lyrics on this album can be seen as gibberish. And it reminds me of Bleach, where Kurt wrote lyrics on the way to the studio, which also didn't mean anything.
And I'd say like the production of those songs very similar as well, dude.
Well, Bleach like, more raunchy.
And although I'd say like in parts, like, you know, like the whole raw, you know, sound of Bleach emanates from parts of Foo Fighters.
Probably like Weenie Beenie and Exhausted.
Definitely Weenie Beenie. Even that track title alone is comical. Because like I know like each song took about like 45 minutes to record. Like, you know, like I know like 11 out of the 12 songs like recorded one take. With I'll Stick Around, we recorded like 2 to get it right. Like there's a song like where like Dave Grohl used like multi-track to even quadruple track vocals to like get the right sound, because he was very edgy about his voice. He didn't know whether it like sounded right or anything.
It was something.
I feel for you, brother. I feel exactly the same.
Before he'd only done backing vocals in Nirvana.
I'd actually sung that in the band, dude.
Well, he does some backing stuff on Live in New York.
I guess that makes sense. And this is the major single debut from Foo Fighters. Although on Wikipedia being as silly as usual, said that Exhausted was the lead single, even though Exhausted was like released as a single, you know, so like a week before List of Calls was first, you know, officially.
Well, Exhausted was released single first.
But Exhausted like really like a promo single, a bit like Alone and Easy Target was.
Yeah, This Is a Call is a very upbeat song in comparison to Nirvana, just because it's like a thank you to people who had been in Dave Grohl's life thus far.
It sort of like was like a contrast, like the more dark things being explored by Nirvana. You can sort of tell like the DIY influence, because like so happens like the day like plugging in his guitar where it plays like very acoustic riff. I think that's how he experienced it quite loud for this. So.
And this is the first song they played on television. This was their first national airplay.
Was this on David Letterman?
Yeah, Late Night with David Letterman, and who has been an avid fan of the band
because of their performance. I believe they've performed like
they've been on
11 times.
Yeah. One of them being like an hour performance when Wasting Light came out.
And because the song, like commercials, like pretty successful. Like it debuted at number 12 on Modern Rock Tracks and put the first to peak of number 3.
Okay.
The music video is not made for this song.
No. But it's nice. It starts off with your soft riff, kicks in with like the left of centre sort of stuff.
It shows like the whole sonic elements of the sound, because most of the album sonically is very similar.
Yeah, it's very constant. It never really like dips at all. It's just the same sort of riff
and that's kind of what makes this album
poppy sort of structure.
There's still a lot of poppy melodies in it. Probably feel like performed so well, because it's a very accessible song. That's for sure, and it's
radio friendly.
I'd agree. It's certainly very. So you can listen to on the radio and enjoy it. I suppose.
It's just very simple track.
That face you pulled there was very similar to the Exhausted single cover, which we'll get to. I wish I owned a copy of the Exhausted single cover to show you how humorous this is.
I'm not even sure if you can buy. I mean, you can buy This Is a Call, but it's quite expensive.
You can find it on eBay.
Oh, I'm just looking at Amazon.
It's like classic singles on eBay, like ridiculously expensive. Probably most of them are like PayPal anyway. I don't have a PayPal account.
Which kicks off with a snare drum building up to a heavier
There's a snare drum in there, dude.
Yeah, that's what kicks it off.
Oh, of course it is, yeah. I thought it was like a standard drumming. That's such a like the transitioning This Is a Call to Ask the Crown. Like, the songs don't sing into one another, but you get like, it's like one second, like...
This one just builds up into...
Like the really distorted, heavy riff. And like, do you know like after it's like, goes like, I didn't know, whatever it is. Like,
yeah, apparently this song's talking about someone he doesn't like, which is probably Courtney Love.
Oh, Kurt Cobain.
What do you mean doesn't like Kurt Cobain? No, doesn't like Courtney Love because of Kurt Cobain.
It's something to do with And apparently Weird Al covered this in his alternative Polka and Bad Hair Day album, dude.
Yeah, released in 1997, which has tracks such as Amish Paradise.
And it was recorded. The music video was done for $60,000 because that's essentially like the first Foo Fighters song I've been done for.
It's got lots of effects and stuff to it.
Also, like a reference to UFOs with white strokes.
Because it's very, I mean, it's just them in a room. Well, not a room, but like a cave or something. And but there's loads of stuff happening around them.
Like the band had chose like Jerry Casale, who'd worked with the band Devo, because of their eccentric nature of their music videos. Even though I've never even heard of Devo or any of their music videos. I've heard of Il Devo. That's
that like quartet, isn't it?
It's that like operatic sort of. It's like that band called El Nino or something like a heavy
El Nino, I've heard of those, yeah. They're a metal band, I believe.
I'm not really into all this modern metal stuff.
See, this is.
Well, you may argue with Mastodon.
But don't make me mention him again. Right, this is
too late.
This is a very Nirvana-esque because it's like soft verse, loud chorus, soft verse, loud chorus.
You know when I said like when you go to like the first verse, that whole sound, you know, like the guitars or distortion, that's very grungy. As you say, the sound consists of elements of grunge, in your opinion.
Yeah, definitely, because it's just a lot of Nevermind-esque sort of stuff.
It's much more heavy song, this call, you know, it's much more intense.
It's just power chord-infused alt-rock.
Which is very typical of Nirvana, and sort of like, you know, reflects like the simple structures and simple music.
Well, the more commercialised side.
Yeah, commercial. It's very, very accessible. Although I'd say I'll stick around, you know, a lot of people, you know, may enjoy this car mode, which is more, you know, much more cleaner, sort of, not as abrasive edge. Yeah. I suppose, although I'll stick around, you know, it's like the end bits where I sing I'll stick around, it's a really cool song, like it's a nice bridge, like this to call I'll stick around, because like the way the tracks recorded in this album, like they are the final track listing, so it's cool, like, you know, it flows well, you know, from this to call I'll stick around.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about like having not much too diversity in the tracks is like the songs will flow together pretty well, you know, musically, like all the parts will fit into place. It's arguably the most popular song from this album.
And you're saying how they blend, I mean, you just go from this contrast to heavy rock, which goes into a nice, soft, happy song.
This is sort of like, this is a call, but without any distortion.
Before it clocks in about 2 minutes 13, a very short song.
And I'm sure like most of this song doesn't actually have a conventional chorus, dude. It's just like a couple of lines being like repeated a few times.
It's just, the verses are quite catchy, and it's got that, when it says big me,
It's like if like the guitar melody and Grohl's vocals went hand where I probably hate this song. So it's like it's pretty simple, but the video is extremely popular due to the fact that it endorsed Mentos Mints. And we've actually got a British equivalent of there called Tree Ball. So you know, sort of, you know, they're both like very similar.
It's a very just comical. I mean, Foo Fighters aren't shy of doing very like comical videos such as the Learn to Fly one.
Well, Dave Grohl's the nicest man in rock, dude. So, you know, he'll basically, you know, if he wants to have fun, he will have fun.
Indeed.
We know about Dave Grohl having fun. He enjoys whatever he does, bless him, and that's why he's an absolute hero.
Mellow track in comparison as well. But very toned down.
I certainly agree with it. Like I say, it's much like this is a call, but it's much more soft.
Especially at the beginning of
certainly more mellow.
Call.
And the video, I think like the video like really propelled the success of this song, dude.
There's a
not,
thing
not necessarily the song.
The video is... the song reminds me of like American commercials.
It became popular because it reached like number 13, like some like mainstream rock, mainstream chart in the US.
Yeah, but it's like the thing about this song is that they stopped playing it for a while because when they play it,
the fans would throw Mentos Mints at them.
And Dave described it as being stoned.
Especially those like little Mentos Mints, so they are pretty hard, dude. Must admit. And if one of those hits you on the cheek, it's not a very pleasant experience, but. They didn't like Weezer, like Foo Fighters, like
in I think 2005, it might have been the Foozer
tour. The fall of 2005.
Yeah, apparently played Plastic Around as well, and so playing them again influenced Foo Fighters to put along because I think both tracks might be on the same.
As you say about the comical nature of the video, like Dave Grohl said, like it's like a ridiculously candy-coated pop tune, and they call it like the whole Mentos and the parody and those adverts, like this.
Very tongue-in-cheek.
A suitable treatment for video. I think I wrote down tongue-in-cheek too. Or was it tongue-in-cheek?
Another single, but it was released for radios.
It was the final single they released in 1996. All the Big Me had been released in 1996.
Yeah, a few.
That's like the final commercial single of the album. Alone in East Time was like radio play. I got that people actually got to hear the song on the radio because it's good. It's a lot heavier than Big Me. It's got a great rocking riff when when the chorus kicks in.
Yeah, sure. I said it was like a typical Foos track of things to come. Like there's remnants of future work.
You still expect that sound to, these days from our associates.
I mean, it's still like one of those simple verse kicks into chorus sort of Nirvana-esque songs as well.
He'd written this song, dude, in '91, and actually played the demo to like Kurt Cobain during the break the band had been taking and recording Nevermind.
It also is one of those like build-up sort of thing where he's shouting "Get Out," which is seen a lot in Foo Fighters as well.
I'd say that's certainly typical of the Foo Fighters sound as well, dude. But and this like the first riff on the album really like grabbed my attention, especially like the chorus. I was saying, did you say the song has a fairly simple structure, much like this song I'll Stick Around?
Yeah. It's just also.
Would you even just referring to speaking? Would you even call it a song? It's just like a few lines, a few like cute little guitar chords.
It's a song.
Ridiculously short.
Well, I mean,
certainly accessible. It's so accessible. That's probably why a lot of people latched onto it. But I like Alone Easy Target for the very drop D-ish. If it's even written in drop D.
No, it's not in drop D. I don't believe.
It's very heavy though. It rocks. It's like
there are
the first
2 tracks in
attention.
drop D on this album.
Kurt Cobain wanted Grohl to like write for the band once he had this demo.
Grohl was satisfied with Kurt's lyrics, which was doing quite well for the band.
Bless him. Well, I guess it's had more than one songwriter, but mostly Kurt Cobain was he was like up here in comparison to Chris Novoselic and Dave Grohl. And maybe Pat Smear for their later in Euro touring days. And it's one of my most favourite songs. Like a really powerful song, much more diverse than Big Me. Although probably all the tracks that sound probably more diverse than Big Me. Big Me's like
I think you've got more. Sound
Big Me's like cute little
easy,
sort of song. It's returns like I'll Stick Around, but I feel the riff's much more. It grabbed my attention more than I'll Stick Around. Well, what would you say is, in your opinion, is better, dude? I'll Stick Around or Alone Easy Targets to both like relatively heavy songs, but may not live throughout the whole.
I don't know. I'd probably prefer I'll Stick Around.
I guess they disagree with everyone though.
Just because I've heard it more.
Each to their own. Oh, is it the case you like usually you've overheard something you don't like as a shame more? Is this?
I didn't say overheard. I just said I'd heard it more.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, take that. Yeah.
I've heard Alone Easy Target right.
I've heard Big Me way too much, but I still find it enjoyable.
I guess the Foo Fighters have that sound that appeals to you personally. Did you say Alexis on Fire? Yeah, I said say Alexis on Fire.
The music, definitely at the beginning. I mean, it still contrasts throughout the song, but it sounds like I wouldn't pinpoint out a song, but it's got that sort of, especially with the lead riff mixing in with the rhythm. It's got that Alexis on Fire vibe.
I'd say it sounds more modern than the previous tracks. I don't know why I thought of Paramore. But I just did. I just thought that general sound, like you said, like the higher notes.
I just feel like it's got that sort of post-hardcore Alexis on Fire.
Post-hardcore, that's the one. Bit like Funeral for a Friend too.
Yeah. That contrast of like high-pitched notes mixing in with the rhythm, quite substantially.
This is song where he's saying, "I hate it." Like it's like I do like those high melodies, just not for me. And like, I know Good Grief isn't one of my most favourite songs now. I do feel there are better.
It's another
heavy song.
It's another soft, heavy contrast and Nirvana-esque song, but a lot heavier. Well, I don't know. Good Grief.
There's like a lot of distortion, like on most of the songs on the sound.
Deeper vocals as well from Dave Grohl.
Especially when it's like, I'm sure this is like one of the first instances on the sound like I feel as though Grohl's vocals very developed. It's in this song especially, but I say it's just not something that stands out to me. The great thing about Song of Sound, there's not much like diversity, so it's not much elaborate as to why I don't like it so much. Yeah. I just don't like the general sound of it.
I do.
Each to their own.
I really like Alexis on Fire, so I guess that's why it attracts me to it.
No, I see. Well, me myself not really being a big fan of that band. I also just have a different opinion, but that's what makes music so great. See, even though me and him are like closer than two peas in a pod, like we sometimes have differing musical views. I guess that's what makes us individual, even what makes us much together.
Peace.
But I got like the My Hero vibe from this song.
I said about this song.
It sounds like My Hero.
I said that this song was. I mean, it's more softish, but I said even with big chords around, it's a very relaxing song.
I enjoy it, dude. I enjoy it. It's really cool. It's got a solo in it too.
It picks up with the lead parts of it, yeah.
Sorry, I also got a solo. It's like got a part like between the main riff. Yeah.
It's like it looks like it's gonna like pick it up and go for a bit, but not as much as you expect.
There's not like a wall of sound like individual guitar.
I think that lead riff could go on a bit longer, to be honest. Like double it up.
It sounds really cool. And I love it when like bands play like pinpoint riffs like that. It really has like a. It's really one of my favourite things in music.
It's a bit like in Weenie Beenie, that lead riff. Well, not lead, but that high pitched riff.
Well, we'll get into Weenie Beenie after this track, y'all, about how I feel about this. It's a song typically. I feel like Dave Grohl's vocals are certainly very atypical for Foo Fighters in this song, definitely. And although I feel a solo in the song maybe have helped a little bit, it's probably it's a song I don't like. It's
one of the I like it a lot.
It's a bit too heavier.
Oh.
I know it's like I know it's like you tend to drive a lot of the heavier stuff. I drive more like light-hearted stuff.
This is one of the drop D heavies.
I'm more of a sunshine and lollipop sort of music.
It sort of gives me the impression of like
I've got all three.
Queens of the Stone Age would write in their sort of heavier numbers.
But you were saying to do how like it may only appear heavy due to the level of distortion that's used
on the vocals. Yeah, it's pretty hard to tell as well on the album.
I'd say grocals.
Yeah, I guess you could call them that.
Dave grocals.
It's very rock heavy.
It's a song that's like lyrically, it's like one of the more nonsensical themes. It's really like this like coffee shop in.
It's not seen as
Virginia.
much later on in. I guess like remnants of Monkey Wrench, Breakout, and I guess White Limo.
I'd argue like the Weenie Beenie, White Limo Race. I'd argue like those
with
two
the vocal
songs.
wise, yeah.
I'd argue like those two songs are actually heavier than Monkey Wrench.
It's just what I'm just saying is
Monkey Wrench is so much more commercial.
I'm just trying to think of stuff where his vocals are more aggressive, like in the later half of Monkey Wrench and in Breakout. When he shouts.
Oh yeah, that megaphone in the video. Which references me, myself, and Iron, my favourite films of all time, featuring
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey. I always thought it was like, who featured Waterboy, dude?
Adam Sandler.
That's the one, Adam Sandler. I always get those two confused. It's about like, it's like, there's another song that's like, doesn't feel like a simple stretch, it's a lot of repeating. It's all like about like 2 minutes sort of long song. It's like a much more heavier Big Me in many ways.
I guess, yeah.
I enjoy Big Me more, because Big Me's cool. It's more, chilled out.
Reference to George Harrison,
which I did not know before, so massive
apparently
kudos to
it references the song Something as well, which is featured on the Abbey Road album.
I also thought it was on the White Album, dude.
No, Abbey Road.
The one that's come together on.
Yeah.
It's good. I got lyrically like this could be like a pretty like sad song lyrically. Like, it could be written from like the perspective of someone
It's
who's
also got
like
a solo as well.
which makes it adds a nice touch of diversity.
Slightly, possibly George Harrison sort of solo at first.
It was like my prayers for a song. The sound of final answer. I was like, oh lordy, yes. It's like it could be about like someone like being hurt in a love sense, but the effects of heroin.
It doesn't
how
stand
people
out.
help their friends into
It doesn't stand out that much on the album, but it's just a nice rock song.
I'd agree because I got reminiscence of Long Road to Ruin from Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace. In parts, I don't know if you'd agree with that, dude.
I see what you mean, yeah. Very down to earth song.
Also, just because throughout the whole creator, like the Foo Fighters, I've had like a typical like rock sound. As I was saying to you, like there are a lot of influence, like it's
very
like,
it's a Foo Fighters song, but it's always
they've like got that sound associated with them. It's just something that like probably makes them stand out more and more recognisable, more accessible nature, I suppose.
Well, I mean, you think of bands which are, I guess, similar to Foo Fighters. You get Queen of Stone Age, obviously, and I guess Wolf Mother, Cohen and Cambria, but like they're more different. Yeah,
it's like I think it's those bands do like you don't really have like one sound you associate with them. With the Foo Fighters, you're exactly what they're going to be.
You got that rock heavy.
Although Wasting Light, that was a bit diverse sound wise. It was much more beefed up. I feel. I don't know if that's the fact it was recorded in Dave Grohl's garage or not, but. Anyway, and yeah, I gotta agree with you because I don't really remember this song much. All I got is like the solos reminiscent of the songs Smooth by Santana and The Day I Caught a Train by Ocean Colour Scene. Was it like the third official single is the sound dude?
It's a single, I know that. I don't know that much, but it's definitely one of my favourites.
The single artwork has a cow on it. It's
like
a pencil drawing like a cow on it.
It's like one of those like yellow stained old pieces of paper. Tea stain, I guess, but it starts off like a nice bluesy sort of intro and then kicks into a rock heavy open like power chord open note sort of stuff.
Again, like a whole loungy sort of thing.
But it's one of those jumpy sort of riffs where it's like power chord open sort of stuff.
It's like this is the call, like in a way like the more clean touch and also like the more anthemic chorus.
Definitely
the chorus is still very anthemic.
Suitable for live gigs sort of stuff.
I can just imagine like a crowd of people like jumping up and down.
And I just like how it just reverts back into this. It's like it's all kicked up and it just like goes back into that fancy blue riff.
I like how it sounds so upbeat as well. It's got that comical sense like for all the cows. I was actually reading about the
lyrics. It's probably one of those lyrics which it might have rushed.
I was reading about the lyrics list on it. Like one of the posters on his website said that like it could be written about like Courtney Love because like they said that she could have been a cow.
Wow. That's a bit like more British sort
of very English, reference. Yeah. Like I don't. If like a lady's bugging me, I don't call him a cow. I just don't.
You call him.
And although nobody annoys me, to be honest, I probably annoy people, but people don't annoy me. Spelled X-Static, a bit like that band X-Ecutioners, which was featured a member from the band Static X. Now, sure,
I was thinking there was another band. was thinking there was another band.
And
It's more. I mean, I thought it started off a little bit pop punk, and then I think, see, we have different opinions on this one.
I see what you mean now, dude, that pop punk, it's like a riff in my head.
And then
it feels like Nirvana's in utero.
I also feel like it descends into like
a
more upbeat Alice in Chains riff.
I couldn't hear the resemblance, dude, but I'm glad you brought that to the party.
I think it becomes more upbeat as it progresses as well. When it first, when it kicks, it's a lot lower, and it builds up with the same riff.
Wow.
It's like louder as well when it comes back in.
That's your opinion, dude. And but I got like vocally, musically, I got a lot of resemblance to the song 1979 by Smashing Pumpkins, because like Grohl's vocals at times feel like much more like
it's softer vocals.
Yeah, more softer. Although it's a song called Walking After You.
Yeah, on
Colour and Shape. Again, exploring the fact that Foo Fighters have very similar sound throughout their whole career.
Yeah. You get your loud songs, you get your soft songs. You know what to expect, I guess.
It reminds me, I hear some backing vocals in the song. It's very like a song of Barry Jones without backing vocals on. And Greg Dully, who like played a guitar part in the song, because Greg Dully been in the studio with Dave Grohl, and he'd be like watching like Grohl record all his songs by himself, and so Grohl eventually asked him, said, "Do you want to play?" And gave him the guitar and recorded the guitar part of the song.
Yeah.
Ecstatic.
Although I don't hear much guitar diversity in this song.
Do you hear many multi-layered guitars doing the song?
Not really. I just hear one guitar.
I hear some like in this call, like you get like a very like chorusy, clean guitar.
This one's not got much change to it.
No,
it's very mellow.
It sort of reflects the whole like music vibe on this album. You know, very simple songs that have like more of an accessible edge and typical. Probably like the Foo Fighters have done so well commercially because the whole like sound is very. A lot of people can like tap into it easily and enjoy it more, I suppose. It's actually named after a dude called Mike Watts, who'd played as like a solo artist in some bands called like Fireman or Horsepipe or something, or Horseradish or some bands. Because like basically like on the Foo Fighters like first US tour, they actually like toured with the Mike Watts like solo band as well as the band called Horrorcraft, which featured Eddie Vedder.
See, with this song I've not got much to say about it.
And also played with like Mike Watts solo band, like Eddie Vedder played guitar and Dave Grohl played drums. Throughout the tour.
I've not got much to say
about 95.
This song. It's a very rock heavy track, very Nirvana-esque. That's all I've got to say about this. It didn't stand out to me.
I agree. It's a pretty short song as well as to about like 2 minutes.
Oh yes.
Which is one of my most favourite songs with Alone Needs to Target.
Probably the longest track on the album.
I'd say it's the one that has the most changes in it. Much more focus and diversity.
A lot of feedback, drop D, distortion, fuzziness.
Certainly in the beginning.
And it uses it to like break from one bit to another as well, this feedback.
But what I do is like, it has like melodic part, I get like excellent drop D riff to actually learn prior to this review.
It's got like some picking as well.
All the parts, like Dave Grohl's like pretty good at this, like putting all the parts together, there's quite a few parts which makes it, it's about nearly 6 minutes long, isn't it, dude?
Yeah, pretty much.
And this is like the first like taste of people got from Eddie Vedder's radio show.
I was just looking at my notes. Self-pollution. Say that. Like at first, I've got like a funky hard rock riff.
It's sort of distorted. I mean like the
there's the riff. It's like funky hard rock riff. I guess.
I know it's like Cade like a massive wall of distortion. That's probably why we didn't like think of production much because it was just distortion. There's a lot of distortion, dude. That's like the key word of. This review, distortion. Yeah, the vocals are very catchy and memorable, and then like later half it goes into like this feedback which kicks into the familiar riff. And because I know, dude, like during their live shows and real days, like the Foo Fighters played this song last, so like, they'll draw out distortion and feedback.
A bit like what Smashing Pumpkins used to do, like they just mess about with effects and let it all fade out.
Yeah, that's one way of who needs an encore without effects. Because this song like it becomes more instrumental as well as this too. Like it's just like a massive like jam for the album.
Yeah. And
like throughout this album, you get lots of his like Grohl's a lot of distortion of vocals and music. And so basically about our overall thoughts on this album, basically. Like, I found this to be really enjoyable listening. Songs of very, very accessible nature. There's not much like differentiation sonically. Most of the songs have like a similar tone to them. But what like a club like decided me to give this album an 8 out of 10 was like how good some of the songs sound. And, like the diversity between like the acoustic and your more electric based stuff vocally and musically. There is diverse like the chain of the acoustic and vocally distorted.
I like this album. Don't get me wrong. Grunge is my favourite genre of music, and I see a lot of remnants of this. And
mid-90s dude.
To me, I mean, there's some songs which are very memorable, but I feel like there's a lot of songs which contrast with each other and very similar, and they don't stand out as much as later Foo Fighters albums.
I'd certainly agree, especially songs like "Oh George" or something like "Oh Float." Like, they're all songs that's like clash into each other.
To me, which stand out like.
Which probably like one of the disadvantages of like all the songs sounding very similar in a sonic manner.
This is a call like the first 3 tracks, and then Weenie Beenie For All the Cows. They all stand out. They're a bit different from each other, but then the rest I feel coincide.
I was not like really a fan of Weenie Beenie, and I'd say most of the
style also coincides a lot with each other.
Stylistically, the sound is very similar.
For me, I'd give it a 7.
It's like cause like they're not much like freshness, like a lot of it's like the album like treading like similar ground throughout.
I think it's a very important album for Dave Grohl, and I think it was a good choice for him to do, and help set like a good foundation for Foo Fighters to advance from.
I'd certainly agree with that, bro, because this album, it does contain elements of that traditional Foo Fighters sound that we've come to know and love, but I feel what we've got to take into account is that Dave Grohl never intended this to be an album, just basically like him having a bit of fun, like feeling happy again.
It's just a good breakaway from Nirvana.
It was just a cool little project for him
rid himself of these dark shackles and start fresh.
And it gave him a chance to put his writing expertise and ability to front the band to the test.
I guess, and then we got Foo Fighters. And
this is the first video where we give it alternate ratings. You give it a 7 out of 10, and we give it an 8 out of 10. I feel there's something here for all rock fans, really. So
yeah, I recommend people check it out.
This is a good album. If Classics in the Crypt, so I feel this album is definitely worthy of its It's a bit like an underscored classic, and it's like very under the radar. But if fans have checked this album out, probably a lot of people will enjoy it. Yeah. Shown by the ratings of critics.
It's Foo Fighters' Bleach.
It's like they sort of blew up with the colour and shape. So
exactly.
I see what it did there, dude. Probably just leaves like there's a full band performing on the colour and shape, plus this just Dave Grohl. Probably the fact that he hid his identity, like probably a lot of people don't really, when they first get into the Foo Fighters, they don't really know this about this album much. Yeah. They don't really know about Big Me, and they'll probably think that's all
they'll start off with Monkey Wrench and Everlong.
Everlong is My Hero probably too. And 8 out of 10 and
7 out of 10.
And as you can see, everyone, we're on the artwork. We see the gun. I'm actually going to be like Travito, this just show this side, this side, this side. But yeah, on the front we get the Buck Rogers pistol, wasn't it, dude? Because Travito's just gone off the edge of the world again somewhere, and it was a bit insensitive due to what happened with Kurt Cobain. But the band didn't really. Dave Grohl wasn't aware of this, and so basically that's why he wasn't really conscious of the impact of the image. And on the side it says Foo Fighters and the record label. On the back we see the track listing and the barcode, and it's very sort of sandy artwork, isn't it, dude? Very sort of sandstone.
Oh, I see what you mean with the colour, yeah.
It's even reflected in the disc. The whole disc was very murky vibe. I guess that could reflect the whole UFO vibe. And here we get some more track listing, and if I very quickly sort of take the booklet out of the case, I can remember when you've had trouble in the past with getting the booklet out.
What are you talking about?
There's some more sandstone thing. I think it was on the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
More bullet holes, reference to the gun. Here's a controversy. We see the whole band, but it's actually Dave Grohl recording on the album. This was just Capitol Records. The Roswell Records did not feature this. And probably see some things here, because it's actually see-through. There's some more stuff on the back too, with pictures of the band, or just Dave Grohl. No, it's the full band playing live. So obviously this is post Foo Fighters, and that's just about the album booklet, everyone. Here we go, everyone. The moment that I totally make a huge song and dance about every single week, where we pick out of the hat which we shall be reviewing for next week. And seeing as Travito picked the album out of the hat last week, I think it's my turn once again, brother.
So I shall shield your eyes.
And so we shall see exactly what album we are going to be picking out for next week. Wow, I love this little activity with the totally gets me exciting. So I think I have one, dude. I think I have one.
Okay. Ooh, excellent.
Wow.
I really enjoy this album.
This is sort of a sort of genre we were thinking about covering before, so yeah, this should be a really interesting review, dude.
I enjoy that album a lot, I'll admit.
I'm looking forward to it, dude. So until next time, I've been Jonny Middleton.
And I've been Travis Ward.
Thank you for watching, so until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and we shall see you all in the future forever. Peace and much love.